Awesome, we're live. What's up? Good evening, everyone. I don't know who's going to chime in right now, but I know that it was my time to hop on in here for a few minutes just to share, the topic of depression, because I know my heart's calling me to talk about it, and just wanting to share really what has helped me in my past from the thoughts that I was having, when I was going through circumstances in my life that had caused me to feel despair and, cope with those situations in a way that brought me more peace and meaning versus leading me down to depression and everything. So my hope for this video is that it impacts one person at least, in a way that, there is hope, because I know with all these, everything that's happening with even, the most affluent people in the world, and the things that they've ended up doing with their life because of the despair and depression that they've experienced, that's what led them to, taking their life. And I think that my heart today is calling to talk about, ways that I've, been able to overcome the struggles in a more peaceful way and just really live life more abundantly versus, go down that dark hole, which leads to depression and really feelings of despair and, that we're not enough, and that gives us no option but to take the route that, let's just say, Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain and Avicii and a few more people that are more local to me that I've seen or I've heard they've taken that route because there was no other way. And I'm not going to talk about depression and what it is and what we should be doing. Instead, this live is really going to be to share what I've done in my life, the habits that I've adapted to really overcome, those feelings of despair and struggles, feelings of defeat. And I hope that, whoever is watching this live, and if you're hopping on live, by the way, give me a shout out, because I'd love to see who you are and just connect with you guys here while we're live. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and type replay, and I could give you a shout out later on. And, I'm going to be asking questions too, just to see if you guys can relate, especially this applies to women, because I think women are the ones that can probably relate the most to what I'm going to be talking about today regarding, feeling defeated and having these episodes of, the blues and all this, because I know for me, back in 2009, and I think I have shared this in one of my posts about experiencing postpartum depression, and, it wasn't easy. Okay, so, having a child and then being diagnosed with postpartum depression because of a hormonal imbalance or whatever, maybe the stresses of labor or whatnot had led me down that path, and, being prescribed with prescription drugs to overcome it or even just to bandage it. Was my experience, and that led me to believe that I was the thoughts of my depression, and it started making me feel guilt, and all this stuff started accumulating where I thought that I was not worth it as a mother. I was like, what's wrong with me? I feel like everyone else is not experiencing what I'm experiencing. I feel that I'm not anywhere as close to having the ability to live life to the fullest, because now I have a title of depression and all this stuff. But it's so important to identify that depression is not you. Okay, so that's what I've learned over the course of my self-development here. Hey Alexa, what's up? How are you? Just want to say, okay, so I'm going to take some time to say hi to people. First, Pauline, what's going on? So glad to see that you're here. So postpartum depression, I was prescribed with fluoxetine, when in 2009, and I felt as though, like, what is going on here? Because prior to that, and having a child, I was fine, right? And and now here I am thinking that I am identified as clinically depressed, and the thoughts of feeling mom guilt and being a new mom, and just all these other struggles that I was going through with, going to work and facing the traffic and the time that I didn't have with my kids after work, because I had to make ends meet with a 9-to-5 and all that. It started adding up, right? It started just accumulating over time, and I finally, over time, that's a compound effect of just these little thoughts just creeping up. And, by the time, 3 years come by with those little thoughts, that leads to, I believe that those are the things that lead to depression. It's the circumstances and mainly our environment that we're surrounding ourselves with. And what I found, to really get through this was really, taking a deeper look of what the root causes were that made you start thinking these things. And forgiving yourself, basically, releasing all of those burdens and all those things that have left you with a void, so that you could see that, prior to all of these things happening, life was okay as a child. Life, maybe it wasn't as a child. Maybe you were bullied or whatnot. Maybe that's what led most of us or some of us to a point where we're at today, and that is why I'm here to just share with you that we are not, our state of depression, and that there is really a way to know. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. That, life is painful, but, the choice of struggle is really something that we can overcome. And once we identify the things that we can do to alleviate those and also, allow us to grow and flourish and feel, joy again. It's about really infusing the daily habits and little things in our lives and being intentional so that we can find our best self again, and that there is hope at the end. And, it's such a sad thing to see that's happening, especially, friends and family that are now announcing that other people are also taking their own lives, but in God is with them, and, prayers to them. But, my hope here in this live is to share with you the 8 things that I have done on a daily to really allow myself to seek, guidance to my best self. So, learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. Exactly, Lexa. And we have Pauline sharing, surrounding yourself with people who love and support you no matter what. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be sharing as well. So the first thing that I wanted to share is, what is depression? If you guys have a clear definition of what depression is, go ahead and type it down below. I grabbed this from the internet, and, the meaning of depression is it's a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how you feel, the way you think, and how you act. Fortunately, it's also treatable, of course, with farm meds and all these other things, right, that they're probably going to share. But depression causes feelings of sadness or a loss of interest in activities one once enjoyed. It can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems and could decrease a person's ability to function at work and at home. Okay, so there's even a quiz that they have online where they it's an assessment to share whether or not you're pretty much diagnosed as depressed. It's not really a diagnosis, but it's a quiz that you could take to share where on the spectrum you are as of whether you're depressed or whether you're not depressed. Okay, so I'm going to read to you some of them, and I know that for me, back in 2009 when I was, postpartum depression, and, especially during the times when circumstances were overcoming me, like the passing of my dad, and, just not being happy anymore in my workplace, and, being bombarded with comments and everything from managers, and the stress levels and the guilt of as a mom not being there for my child. All of these, I could point back to those circumstances that made me feel these feelings. So it says, have you ever felt in low spirits or sad? Okay. And then the spectrum is all of the time. And then the other end of that spectrum is at no time. Okay. So have you lost interest in your daily activities? Meaning, are you not fulfilled in what you're doing anymore every day? Have you felt lacking in energy or strength? Have you felt less self-confident? Have you had a bad conscience or feelings of guilt? Have you felt that life isn't worth living? Have you had difficulty concentrating? Have you felt restless? Have you had trouble sleeping at night? Or have you suffered from increased or reduced appetite? So those are all the things that this quiz that I printed out, it pretty much like asks you these questions, and depending on what your answers or the spectrum that you're at, you're going to answer those, and then it'll give you a number. And my number today, like, it goes from what is it, I think it goes all the way up to 70. And right now when I took it, mine was at a 7. So, before that, before when I was at my postpartum, I'm sure it would have been up there, like close to 70, because, those are the feelings that I was feeling. But, today I wanted to talk to you because, depression, there's a way to, we have a choice on what we want to do, on our daily to alleviate some of those symptoms. And I think that, with me being able to alleviate my own, I feel it's my responsibility and others' responsibility. If you guys actually have ways that you know have helped you in alleviating or overcoming your despair, I want you guys to share it here too, because I believe it's so important for people to see that there is a way, and whatever ways help you, maybe it can help someone else that's watching this. And, if you believe that this can even help someone, who, if you're watching this and this benefits you, maybe share it with a friend also, because I think that maybe if they get 1 ounce of this, as far as what can help them, that would be a blessing to their life as well. Because I know so many people say there's help, seek help. There's a lot of posts saying, seek help, we love you. But, in a way, we have to actually do something and not just, fish for it. And hopefully someone just types in like, oh, I need help, right? We need to really be more intentional about giving that gesture of a smile, of a hello these days, because, maybe it's that one bit of a gesture that someone is seeking, and that could be you that they're seeking it from, that could really bless their lives. We don't have a responsibility for everyone, but we could do whatever we can to our fullest potential to bless someone in any way. That's why I'm actually doing this live, because I feel that, like, even if someone is going to bash it, I don't care, because it could save someone else's life. This is not about everyone and pleasing everyone, because as they say, pleasing everyone means you're pleasing no one. But if you can impact one person, on the other hand, that is a world of a difference already, right? So the 8 ways that I have, really found to help me overcome my despair in life and the struggles that I go through, in a more peaceful manner. One is, the first one is diet. Okay. So diet, it's not diet in a way that you're, watching what you're eating and counting your calories. It's really what, I'm very intentional about now, about putting in my body, because, our body is a temple, right? And the body, whatever you feed is what is going to go into your heart and your mind and everything. So really take inventory of, really on a daily, what are you really putting in? Because if you're drinking alcohol, like, all the time, like, is that really good for your body? If you're, smoking all the time, is that really good for your body? Like, ask yourself, why are you still staying stuck in that state, right? And what things could you really do to intentionally, give up, so that you can start feeling the way you want to feel? Because sometimes it's going to be a hard trek to go cold turkey, but, at least like find a way in which, a tool that can help you do it. Because if you're just making an excuse that you need it for a reason to alleviate stress, that cigarette is actually adding stress into your body even more, right? It's a quick fix, but then in the long run, it's detrimental. It's, affecting your parasympathetic nervous system, right? You're putting in poisons in your body. And, when people say, I'm going to take the edge off every night after work, that's what I used to do when I was working as an accountant, right? I looked forward to, taking the edge off while cooking, having a glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine while cooking, because that's exactly what most people were doing. But, it actually added up to a point where I was no longer happy, and it was actually stressing my body out a lot. So I had to eliminate alcohol completely from my life, whether it's wine, whether it's alcohol, like hard liquor, anything that had alcohol in it, because I knew that at the end of the day, it was bringing me down the wrong path in life, and so would my family. Okay. So, what are you adding into your body as far as good food, good diet, nutrition, good vitamins, good minerals? It's so important to allow your body to heal itself with the good things that it needs in order for you to start from scratch again, right? Because if you're going to be doing the same habits that you're doing, which is not good, it's a compound effect. And, 5 years from now, what's going to happen, right? So that's the first thing. The second, number 2, is, really taking walks and really finding nature again. That's so important to me. I know before when I was working, I would alleviate my own stress by going to the mall, retail therapy, shopping to alleviate that quick fix so that I would be feeling good. But, that only lasted for a short time. And after, that retail therapy, it was, it's like a hit of dopamine, right? And it's really like a drug that once you hit that, once you take that hit, you're just like the next day, like, oh, it's gone again. So I think it's so important to really find clarity through nature. Like if it's even just walking in the park or taking a walk by yourself, at least start with once a week, because if you haven't done that in a while, I promise you it will change your life, because all these distractions from your phone to the TV to all these things, like all these comparisons and social media, scrolling on your, exercising your thumb. That's what we like to call it, like thumb scrolling, exercising your thumb instead of exercising your mind. It's really what is distracting mostly everyone again. That's why they're saying America is becoming so depressed. It's the most depressed, it's increasing at an alarming rate because there's so much distraction. And if you could just find some time for yourself, because your life deserves it, you deserve it. Find some time to really get in tune with yourself through a walk. Okay. So that's what I'm very intentional about as well. And sunlight. Okay, get sunlight. Get a lot of sunlight, because vitamin D3 is your friend. That is actually one of the things that I am so intentional about taking right now, especially as a woman. D3, it is a lifesaver for so many who have been wanting to overcome depression, but it's also something that's in the sunlight that actually helps you to overcome, the depression. That's why they say people that live in some certain states, they have a high rate of depression because there's hardly any sun. So follow that. Like if you can't get out in the sun, take some supplements, because those hormones are so much needed for you to live a healthy life as well. Number 4, I make sure I get adequate amount of sleep. Some people say that, yeah, sleep is whatever, but sleep is just like oxygen, okay? If you're not having adequate amount of sleep, and you're an overachiever and you want to, work on all these projects and you're a workaholic and all this stuff, yeah, it's good for now, but I mean, your life is depending on that rest and that, parasympathetic part of your nervous system to relax and get into a meditative state versus that fight or flight every single day that mostly everyone is living right now, because of all the distractions and everything. So you want to, not work out during the evening time, which is huge, and really try to work out during the morning, because working out in the evening time, it just increases your adrenaline. You're not in a meditative state. So that's another thing for me. I try to be on off mode, from 7 and after, and make sure that, I'm just in a quiet state, maybe reading a book before sleep. And that allows me to really find, that my days are more peaceful because of those little habits. Number 5, and which is so crucial to me, is, surrounding yourself with people, because I know as an introvert for myself, people say that introverts don't like to surround themselves with people. That's really not the truth. It's more of introverts like to be in more of a meditative state, but they love being around people. I love being around people. I never knew that since after I quit my job. I felt that as though that title introvert equals shyness and anxiety, social anxiety, but I learned that it's not the truth, and that, the social anxiety was just really an excuse that I've been giving myself because of what the past had told me about being shy and just wanting to stay away from people because of a few circumstances that happened. But after I had released that and I had really, embraced the fact that as an introvert, I am still supposed to be a part of community, I thoroughly enjoy being a part of, what's bigger than I am. Because here's the thing, I shared this in my post of Anthony Bourdain. Although he was, huge in media, everyone loved him. He had millions of fans. He had always tailored to making people happy. Why was he empty, right? What made him take his own life? I mean, that's why I believe that, maybe being a part of something bigger than yourself, alongside other people who can still keep you grounded and not feeling that you're alone in this world. Maybe that's how he felt, that he was still alone, is so important in our everyday lives. Humans were made to thrive as social creatures. And, this day and age, I feel that people are so isolated from one another. Even the most suburban areas in life, people are so busy doing their own thing, getting their own, achieving their own goals, and yet, we're just alone. Like, I feel that, like, it's part of our duty to, as humans, to start being as part of a bigger group. And, that's what I love about, being part of network marketing in my business. For instance, yes, we're in business for our own goals, but we're not in business by ourselves, right? That's what we always say. And it's so true. Like, how many of you can, give me a shout out if you can relate? Like, if you are part of like something bigger than yourself, you attend like a company event, you attend like a conference, and you attend a webinar alongside other people, alongside other women, you get that instant rush of just happiness and joy and just being part of something, right? And then once you leave it and go back to your normal, duties, you're just like, oh, like, this is sad. Well, that's a hint. That's like really why. That's a hint to your soul that we need people, we need community. And if we're not around, people and surrounding ourselves and receiving as well as giving, and giving of ourselves, but also, rising by others lifting us, but by you also lifting others. That's the reason why, I feel that that's what's lacking in so many people now, that we're just, having a family is awesome, but, being a part of a group and a tribe and a village, again, just like how we were supposed to be, like how people were living in the past, that's what it's really about. Oh, there's a bug here coming. So, it's, I feel that we have a sense of, being detribalized. There's a term called, detribalization, because people are just so busy, ever since the industrial age just happened. It's all about, making an income. It's all about, earning for ourselves and, just attending to our own needs, our own goals and everything. So find a group like that you feel you could be supported in. And you'll see that your life will change, and the energy that you have is going to be so much more abundant when you're actually seeking to be surrounded by others. Number 6 is experiencing life. This one is like, just making a decision to say yes to other things that you're even uncomfortable with. But if you know that it could be something that could help you in any way, even though it's scary. Yes, everything new is going to be scary, but realizing that that fear is there for a reason, and that if your gut instinct is telling you to take that experience and to learn from it, just go with your gut instinct, because the worst that can happen is that you'll fall back to the same situation that you're in. But the best that could happen is that your life could change from forever from saying yes to that experience. And people say it's risky, people say to play it safe, but I believe that playing safe in life is really the most dangerous thing to do. It leads to apathy, it leads to depression, it leads to, lack of self-belief. Say yes, like make a commitment to say yes to at least a few things in a year. Do it for yourself and do it for your children, because they're watching. Number 7 is comparison and curiosity, okay? One of the things that is probably, adding to people becoming depressed is, I believe, is the comparison game, and comparing ourselves to other people's lives and other people's results, other people's experiences, versus just comparing ourselves to who we were yesterday. And I believe here's a cue that I always give myself. If I'm, let's just say, on social media, watching, speculating, and just watching people's lives and watching other people's stories, and I catch myself comparing, my journey to theirs, instead of being curious about what they're doing, because comparison and curiosity are, one or the other. If you're curious to see what they're doing so that you can make your life better, then that's a good sign. But if you're just on social media to really compare yourself and your journey to someone else and, go back and say, woe is me, like I knew I didn't have the capability to do it, we will always be in that, there's always going to be times when we're comparing ourselves. But if you can trigger yourself to start thinking in a way that you're curious now, and how, like, I wonder what this person's doing. She's doing awesome. And what do I do if I want to get to where she is? Like, what are the things that she's doing? What are the habits that she's doing? Do I see her liking so many posts? Do I see her commenting? Do I see her posting so much? Do I see her doing all these things? If that's the thing that she's not doing, or do I see her actually off social media and, she's actually, doing big things by actually taking action and doing personal development, all that stuff, then that's how our mind should be functioning, not in a way that's like, oh, let me look at the next person and see what she's doing. Oh, there she goes, like ranking up again in title, like there she goes being like recognized as her achievements. No, that's like junk in your head that'll get you to, those thoughts of despair again. So that's something that I'm very intentional about. If it means like just, like deleting people from your Facebook posts that you're actually comparing yourself to, or if it means like unplugging from social media, if it means unplugging yourself from anything that's just a distraction that is just leading you to that desperate mode, abstain from that. Number 8 is, your purpose. Why are you even doing what you're doing? Most people, like, if you just sit down and we go from our day to day, just doing life, doing our routines, but we never really sit down and ask ourselves, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, is this really purposeful? Like for me, when I was working my 9 to 5, I realized, like, when one of my mentors asked me, why are you doing what you're doing, Monica? What ultimately do you want to achieve in life? And so, I had these big dreams that I had written down, these big visions, these vision boards. And, he asked me, like, is what you're currently doing today going to help you to get there, 10 years from now? And it made me wonder, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it going to get me to where I'm wanting to go? Is it going to get me to where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, legacy wise? And the answer was no. So I really, it really cut out all of the garbage that I was doing so that I can actually start focusing on the things that I needed to start doing to get to my why I wanted to do what, my dreams and aspirations and everything. So that's something that I feel is so important to people, because I think that, with the busyness of life, we tend to just do what we were told, and we do it day in, day out, like it's a rhythm of breathing. And then, fast forward 40 years later, we're like, what the heck? Where am I? Like, seriously, this is all, like, I was brought here by doing what I was doing. And here I thought that I would be living a life of XXX, like my dreams, right? So get clear on why you're doing what you're doing, and eliminate the things that are not helping you, and start adapting to the things that is going to help you. Number 9, and I know that, like I said, there were going to be 8, but I couldn't leave this out, because I know this is one of the main things that have helped me tremendously and actually have just changed the trajectory of my life. It's my daily gratitude and my prayer to God. And I know some of you that are listening to this may not have belief in a higher power, but for me, I definitely do, because I know He has helped me get through the worst of times, and has actually been there to alleviate the stuff that I couldn't manage anymore. And if it wasn't for Him and giving Him all the glory, I know that I wouldn't even be here sharing what I am with you today. So praise God for being there, to being able to, He's out there He's reaching our hands to us already, and it's up to us to take that hand. But most of us won't. I don't know, like, if we're even seeking it. But if you start seeking, like I have, I know that, He'll pave the path. He already has the path for you. All you have to do is take it and grasp it. And, there will be struggles. I'm not saying that life will be perfect from there, but it will be such a peaceful ride if you do start, if you start being obedient to him and just start seeking for his goodness, it will happen. I'm telling you, and I don't care what anyone says, but the miracles have appeared and continue to do so. And in spite of the tragedies and struggles that I'm going through, that I go through, I get through them gracefully and with a dose of peace and still gratitude in my everyday walk of life. And that's my hope for you guys too, that, you guys take that as a token of just really, running with that, especially because without that, that's the foundation of what I'm doing today. There you go. So I hope that these 9 daily habits that I've shared with you really inspire you. And, share with me down below what you are doing in your daily to really live life in a way that is leading to, less struggle, but more abundance. My hope for you is that, it's so important to realize that you are not your thoughts of, the struggles and depression and your despair. And I hope that I can be a beacon of hope for you guys, because I know I have been there too. I've been there. It's a constant, journey it's a journey that we're all going through together. And know that, if you are experiencing the lowest of lows, that you are probably blessed, because there is a way to go. There's nowhere to go but up from there. And I feel that it's those moments of tragedy and war and really things that are at our battle that we can actually start, growing from there. Because when we're living a life that is already beautiful, abundant, what else is there to live for, right? People pray for all this perfection and all of this, but our tragedies make us unique, and it makes us grow in a most unique way. Also, if you're already wishing to be at the top, whatever, top of your company or top of your whatever, and title at your work, if you're not prepared for it, all of these responsibilities and all these other things are going to pile on top of you, which is probably, I'm not saying that happened to, Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, but, imagine if you wanted to be at the top where they were already, had all those things that they had, and then you weren't properly equipped and called to, be at that point. You might as well start being happy today by adapting new habits and really seeking yourself today while you're on that journey to climbing on the top, because it's really the journey that matters, not the destination, right? They always say the destination is the journey. So many people think that the destination is the end, right? You're trying to look for something, but the destination is now. It's the journey, it's the growth, it's the character you're building. It's you seeking to be the best version of yourself. What are you doing? Because that's the part that's the most fun and rewarding, right? Think of life, gamify life, and start seeing it as a challenge for good, not to be defeated, but a challenge to really grow from it, so that at the end of your life, you'll see that wow, job well done, right? And I always say, pat yourself on the back every single day, because you are worth it. So know that you're resilient, and I know I'm speaking to many women here. This is really for the women that are my friends on Facebook, but I want you to know that you guys are resilient, okay? I want you to know that you guys are enough. You are enough, okay? I accept you as a woman, okay? And I hope that you guys are not looking for your worth in this world today, and that you're looking, for your worth within yourself, and owing it up to the one who knows you best. And, you're not looking to be loved by anyone, because you are worth it already to him. And, my hope is that, you continue to unfold in a way that is flourishing to you, and that you're blooming, and that, hope costs you nothing, literally. Hope costs you nothing. So keep believing in it, and keep believing in yourself. Keep making room for all of that love and peace and gratitude in your heart. Let go of your burdens and voids. Gift it to, give happiness to others. Give, give gestures of kindness, love, compassion to others, and you'll receive it tenfold. I believe that with all my heart and soul, that when you're giving, you're receiving at the same time, but receiving even more abundantly in your heart of joy and gratitude. and watch really how your wishes and your desires manifest itself. Okay, so I hope you guys got some value to this, and I know that I trust that this will impact one life. If you found value to this and you feel that it could bless someone, please share it out, and I will see you guys later. All right, love you guys.